Since 2015, the Fiat 500X has been the perfect answer for those looking for a Fiat 500, only bigger. Now in 2021, this vehicle has received some minor updates, and we want to find out if it's still relevant in the very competitive crossover market. Now looking at this new Fiat 500X, you might think not much has changed from an outside perspective, and you wouldn't be wrong. This car does look very similar to the vehicle that it replaces. The specific model is the Connect variant, so I've got LED daytime running lights, I've got 16-inch alloy wheels, I also have privacy glass, and lastly, I've got park distance control. Now all of these features are good, but this car will cost you 449,000 Rand. And if you look at what's out there from the competitor's perspective, you can get very similar features at far less money. But it's not all doom and gloom. Let's go for a drive. So the first thing that you notice when you jump into the Fiat 500X is just how nice this cabin is. It's nothing overly special, but I just like the fact that it feels chunky. It feels like a cabin that was built to last. The materials used on here are both durable and they feel nice to touch. The only things that I would criticize Fiat on are the buttons that feel a little bit plasticky, namely the hazard buttons and the start-stop buttons as well. But overall, the feel of the steering wheel and the overall sensation of the whole vehicle feels like a big car. This specific model uses a 1.4-litre turbocharged engine. It produces 103 kilowatts and 230 Newton meters. And I can tell you that this engine is very zippy. I've got a good old manual gearbox to use, and it's a nice engaging gearbox as well. It doesn't feel too clunky on the changes feel nice and smooth, and the clutch on the vehicle is nice and light. Traveling long distances with this vehicle is quite pleasurable, even though you've got a manual gearbox. You do get the option of a double clutch gearbox when you go higher in terms of spec, but of course it's going to cost you a bit more money. Another advantage that comes with having a manual gearbox is that you can easily get better fuel economy if you know how to drive a manual correctly. So right now, using the torque of the car, I can be in a higher gear and I don't really have to strain the engine, therefore not using more fuel. In terms of fuel economy, Fiat claims that this vehicle will average 6 litres per 100 kilometers. I'm currently sitting at 8.9 litres, but I have reset my trip meter quite recently, and I'm sure the more I drive, the lower that consumption will get. In terms of safety, this vehicle does have ABS, EBD, traction control, and 6 airbags. So in the event of an accident, you can rest assured that you and your occupants will remain nice and safe. Being out here in the open road, I must say I'm really enjoying how this Fiat 500 feels. Like I say, it feels like a solid car on the road. It's an extremely windy day today, but you'd swear that there's no wind because this car is literally soaking up all the bumps and imperfections, and the noise in this car is very low as well. So those MVH figures are nice and low, and it keeps the cabin more pleasant on the inside, meaning that you don't have to worry about noise when you're traveling for a long distance. So this car really does a good job at what it's meant to do, and that's going for a long drive with your family, with your friends, and really enjoying yourself. So from that perspective, I must really commend Fiat with building a car that feels this nice to drive. Another reason why this vehicle feels quite comfortable is because of the seats that it uses. I've got a combination of leatherette and cloth, but the way the seats are cushioned really makes a difference. I could really sit in this seat for a long period of time, and I actually don't mind driving more and more and more in this vehicle because I'm quite comfortable in this seat. It's amazing the difference that a good seat makes in a vehicle, and in a crossover like this, it's quite essential. When it comes to infotainment, Fiat does offer a touchscreen infotainment system. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto capability, which does make connecting to this vehicle very easy. This car also does have 2 USB inputs up front here, so you don't have to fight for the charger if you're going on a long trip. I like the fact that you've got all the creature comforts you'd need in this vehicle, because we need to remember that this is a bit of a transitionary vehicle. Perhaps you already drive a Fiat 500 and you need more space. When you get into this vehicle, it's going to have all the creature comforts you want for a younger audience and an older audience who perhaps is looking for something smaller and they want a crossover of this size. So it does do well to please both markets very nicely. The Fiat 500X still remains an appealing car in this segment. The added features to this vehicle definitely also modernize this car further. The only bugbear I have is the pricing. You can get a lot of what this car offers in other brands for less money. So it all boils down to brand preference at the end of the day. So if you're a Fiat 500 lover and you want a bit more space, this is the car for you.